I was out in Orlando at a local coffee shop, and someone recognized me and wanted to talk about unconditional love. For the sake of this, we're going to call her Laura. So, Laura initially told me that she was in this relationship and she always was just so depressed and didn't want that anymore. So, I'm going to tell you the end of the relationship, or at the end of the conversation, and the conclusion we came to. And then we're going to walk through the conversation Laura and I had. So at the end, her and I both had to agree to a statement of our desire for unconditional love exists, but there is no such thing as unconditional love when it comes to romantic relationships. This was actually pretty painful for Laura to realize and to think about and explore. She really believed that unconditional love was real. This is what she's always been sold, but it wasn't so. Unconditional love seems to be ingrained in us, and we desire it as infants. If anyone has ever been around a baby, you would notice that they want what they want now. They seem to expect to have what they want immediately, and if not, they will let you know that they are severely dissatisfied, usually by crying. A lot of psychoanalytic research has been done with mothers and their children, and it's been discovered over and over again that the baby, developmentally, is a narcissist, and they expect everything now, and our adult desire for unconditional love is a residue of this. Us desiring unconditional love is us mandating the condition that the other person will love us unconditionally. So the desiring of unconditional love is a condition itself. So love always has a condition. The other side of desiring unconditional love is that when we do not feel we are getting unconditional love, we ourselves take away our love away from that person. When we desire unconditional love, and the condition of being unconditionally loved is not met, we will take away our love from that person. Our conditional love to them will only be present if they meet the condition of giving us unconditional love. So, let's get to the story about Laura. I'm going to be reading you guys a vignette of a conversation Laura and I had outside the coffee shop. There's going to be a link down below so you can read along with me. So Laura started off the conversation by saying, "Mr. Ayala, I was with Jake, her boyfriend, for a few years, and I swear to you that I loved him unconditionally. No matter what happened, I was going to be his woman by his side. It was just that over the years, things got to me. He was messy, and that was fine, but he was messy with the bills, and was always late paying them, which is ridiculous today when everything can be on auto pay. He also just didn't seem to try so hard in a relationship as he once did at the start. He didn't say that he loved me, that I was beautiful, and didn't act like we were together. In public, he didn't hold my hand and just avoided me a lot. Even when we were home, he was always in his man cave, and I was upstairs by myself." What was it like to be upstairs? It felt horribly lonely, and I started to really resent him in the video games. He would rather play them than have sex with me. I mean, seriously? He isn't a bad man in any way. He didn't hit me and we didn't fight, but it wasn't okay. So what happened? I would tell him over and over again that he needed to pay attention to me and not the games, and he would agree and do nothing about it, so I left. I love him, but I don't love him. Does that make sense? What's that mean, Laura? It means to me that he had to do certain things in our relationship for me to stay with him and love him. I have a way I want to live, and goals and values for today and the future. Everything just collapsed around me, and it felt like it was my fault for wanting too much. So what was holding everything up? Love? I want to argue with you and tell you, know that my love is not conditional, and I still feel like it isn't, but it is. I can tell you that if he had the ability to meet me halfway and be in a relationship with me, that I would still be in love with him. I can't love someone who isn't there. So what are the conditions to love? I remember at this time, she looked up at a sign and it said, "Friends are universal." And she commented that, I feel like living in Orlando makes me want to believe slogans like, "Friends are universal," but I need things from my boyfriend and future husband. That's not wrong, right? And I get he will need things from me, and if I don't do these things, the relationship will fall apart. I value a man who values me. I'm beautiful, young, smart, caring, and completely family orientated. If a man can't value what I have, I can't value them. And then I ask, are those the conditions of your love? I don't really know. I think that's the problem. I know it's not what I had with Jake, but I don't know what I want from someone in a really deep way. I had all the surface stuff with Jake. He wasn't abusive and made plenty of money, but there's more, I guess. Are you not sure about that, Laura? I don't want there to be more to me. I just want it to be easy. Disney, it's ridiculous. I've grown up, but how I understand love is the same as when I was 6, dressing up as Cinderella. And this is something that a lot of people have the same mentality as Laura does. Laura's right. Most of us have grown up, but still believe in the love as a 6-year-old does. So Laura and I spoke more about what a relationship looks like, when we aren't running on this idea of unconditional love. And Laura made a discovery that really terrified her. She said to me, "I'm not always going to be happy in a relationship, and they aren't always going to be happy with me. I have to work in the relationship, but I also have to find someone else who will work with me." Are you serious? Are you supposed to do that? And I said to her, you won't always be happy with a relationship, and they aren't always going to be happy with you. Are you ever going to let yourself not be happy with your lover in the future? Seems like you're always going to blame yourself. And then she looked at me and said, "I don't know how else to be." So many of us find ourselves right here where Laura and I ended up. How are we going to get to the point where we can tolerate not being happy all the time with ourselves and our lovers and our partners and our spouses, while being able to put in the work for a relationship, and worst of all, finding someone who will be able to tolerate and put in the effort like we do? It's pretty reasonable to be depressed about all this. So now you know. Functioning under the mentality that love is unconditional in your relationship, it's just going to lead you to destruction and heartache. You can deny it, but you're not going to forget it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe and share to anyone who you know is having relationship difficulties or who this can help.